Help support our coverage through Amazon Prime. Get free music with Prime Music, TV, movies, and documentaries with Prime Video, and free games with Prime Gaming. For this and a whole lot more, go to PLUGHITZLive.com/prime.
We're bringing on the folks from the Wi-Fi Alliance, and we've got a lot to talk about this because this is going to be a little bit geeky. We're going to talk about 6E, I think, a little bit. So welcome to the shore. Welcome to the show, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being on today. So obviously, we saw the big announcement from the Wi-Fi Alliance on 6E. Why don't you get us caught up on what's been going on with you guys over the last year and what's planned for this year?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe if I could just start with a little bit of an introduction of Wi-Fi
Sure.
Alliance. I think most everybody's familiar with the impact we have as an organization, but not everyone is all that familiar with us. So Wi-Fi Alliance is simply the worldwide network of companies that brought you Wi-Fi. And we're really made up of the who's who in the connectivity space. If we were actually in Las Vegas at CES, you could walk through the showroom floor and almost not go, 100 feet without running into a Wi-Fi Alliance member. All of our members really have kind of come together over our 20-year history with a common vision of connecting everyone and everything everywhere. And one of the most important things we do is we administer a program called Wi-Fi Certified. Wi-Fi Certified makes sure that your Wi-Fi products work well together regardless of vendor. And this really was an essential ingredient in getting Wi-Fi to where it is today. I mean, it's hard to believe that there are more than 13 billion Wi-Fi devices in active use. And Wi-Fi Certified played a key role in making that happen. Now, in terms of getting into, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of getting into our latest news, so Wi-Fi Alliance has been working really quite a bit behind the scenes in making the Wi-Fi experience going forward even better than it already is, and has been focusing on working with regulators around the globe to open up an incredibly wide swath of spectrum in the 6 gigahertz band. And that's where Wi-Fi 6E comes in. Wi-Fi 6E is an extension of Wi-Fi 6 into the 6 gigahertz band that are going to give users an incredible new experience.
So I'm assuming then, and for those of you that are not like super technically inclined, the different Wi-Fi, I guess for whatever word, maybe not versions, but there's frequencies that have been allocated. So, most people know that Wi-Fi operates in the 2.4 gigahertz range, but now you're up in the 6 gigahertz range. What does that really mean then to the consumer? I have a pretty good recollection of what it means, but obviously I'm assuming higher speeds, better penetration as far as the signal goes, or what's Wi-Fi 6E actually bring to the table?
Sure, and I think you bring up actually a really good point, which is the vast majority of Wi-Fi users don't know all the intricate details about the underlying technologies or the bands that Wi-Fi operates in. They just want Wi-Fi to work, and they want it to work well. And that's where Wi-Fi 6E comes in. So an average consumer can look for Wi-Fi 6E on the box and know that it's going to offer this new capability. And if it's certified, it's going to work well. With Wi-Fi 6E and moving into the 6 gigahertz band, it's all the great capabilities that come with the latest generation of Wi-Fi in Wi-Fi 6. So it's going to provide very high performance, approaching 10 gigabits per second. It's going to offer low latency because of the ability to have more scheduled transmissions of devices over the airwaves. Now, you talk about taking those great benefits of Wi-Fi 6 and then extending them into the 6 gigahertz band. I know it's really quite creative naming we did, right? But extending those benefits into the 6 gigahertz band. And now you go from in a traditional band in 5 gigahertz, as you mentioned, where you might have one of these super wide 160 megahertz channels that Wi-Fi 6 brings in. You now have up to 7 of those channels in the 6 gigahertz band. And what this means is you're getting even better latency, you're getting even better performance, particularly in devices that are, let's just say, smaller form factors that are battery powered, right? So that those super wide channels are important if you're thinking about AR, VR headsets, smartphones. That's how, in many ways, you're going to get those incredibly high speeds. And in 6 gigahertz, there are numerous channels that you can choose from, and your devices can choose from, which means you're going to get a great experience even in a more congested environment.
I often tell people that are coming on my show, they'll be on for an extended amount of period. Always make sure you have a wired connection, because you never know what that consumer or that individual is running on their network. And we often see folks that come in on Wi-Fi that may be on older generation equipment where we get lagging and where the signal gets dropped. But I think what we're really approaching here with the Wi-Fi 6 and 6E is the ability then really to open that's a big fat channel for data to move in. And I think it's probably going to be just as good or better, or just as good as wired at this point.
Well, you're absolutely right, and it will make a big difference. There's a number of trends that have been happening in the industry. I think most people have already become somewhat familiar with using multiple access points, whether you call it, multi-AP or mesh Wi-Fi, right? There's a number of solutions out there that are focused on delivering the highest possible performance in every square foot of your home. And they're doing that with multiple access points. So you might have one in your office, another one maybe in your living room or game room. And what's interesting is what Wi-Fi 6E is going to allow is it's going to be able to provide this, this uncongested, very high performance channel or connection between each of those access points. So it's really kind of that replacement for the Ethernet cable that would go from one AP to another in, let's say, a work or enterprise environment. You're going to be able to do that entirely over Wi-Fi, so that the devices are getting a great experience, even if they may not have been upgraded to Wi-Fi 6E yet.
And one thing folks should remember too is everything is reverse compatible. You don't have to go out and replace your gear tomorrow. As you upgrade in the future, you're going to get this new technology. Speaking of which, when do you think we're going to start seeing Wi-Fi 6E devices on the market, or are they already on the market?
They are already coming to market. In fact, there are a number of announcements that have happened around CES of vendors announcing new products. There are analysts predicting that there will be more than 300 million Wi-Fi 6E devices just in 2021. So we're not talking about technologies that are going to be, a year, 2 years out in the future. This is a very real development, and users should be looking for it.
We have about a minute and a half left. Do you see more spectrum being opened up for us to be able to expand into some of these other frequencies that are now restricted?
Well, I think the focus with the industry right now is ensuring that users around the globe are going to benefit from Wi-Fi 6E. So there are some very forward-looking regulators in the US, the UK, European Union, et cetera, who have, in fact, even recently, the United Arab Emirates has made a decision to open up 6 gigahertz. So there's still some work to be done to ensure that users around the globe can really benefit from this incredible new technology. And regulators really kind of pay attention to that and ensure that their citizens have that opportunity to benefit.
Makes sense. Well, I want to thank you for coming on today. You guys, if those of you that want more information, you can go over to wi-fi.org. So, or just Google Wi-Fi Alliance on Google. You'll find their website as well. It comes up in the top search result, and you can get information about the companies that work with them. And of course, look out for that 6E logo on some of the new stuff that you're buying that may be Wi-Fi connected, because that's going to tell you you've got the latest and greatest. Any other thoughts from me before we bounce out of here, Kevin?
No, I guess the last point is I think we finally made it to 2021. And one of the things coming out of 2020 is it really highlighted how important Wi-Fi is to users' everyday lives. And Wi-Fi Alliance and our member companies are really working around the clock to make sure that Wi-Fi meets those expectations now and well into the future.
Yeah, I agree. And I wish we could make more fast advancements in rural broadband too, because I'm on rural brand and it's ungodly slow. So with time, we'll have better speed for rural communities. But has nothing to do with going on in your home. But thanks so much, Kevin, for being on with us today, and good luck with what's coming for 2021.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yep. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that interview, and if you did, make sure you check out some of the more than 100 interviews we conducted during the virtual CES 2021 coverage. And of course, subscribe here on YouTube, hit the notification bell to learn when we post new content and when we go live.